So hey, this is already the 13th chapter of the book. It's about Elliott waves patterns, and the last part of the chapter he also mentions the Fibonacci retracement and the Fibonacci levels, which yeah, I think was always a pretty interesting thing. I've always seen them, but never really used them or looked into how they work. I just saw people when I looked it up on like YouTube, which is not it's a good source, but a lot of people just post stupid simple technical analysis, which doesn't work, right? So this one actually explained it pretty good. So this is the basic patterns. Normally we'll have a 5-way move to the upside, and then ABC, which is going to be 3 waves to the downside. This can also happen in a bearish market, then it will be 5 to the downside and 3 to the upside. And most of the time this part is called a correction. So it's really on where you're looking at. But right now we are looking at it from a bullish perspective. So I'm going to mention bottoms. So let's say we have the top of wave 1. It's going to be wave 1 starts here, so 1 to here. This is going to be the top, and the bottom is going to be here. Now the top of wave 2 is going to be this one, because it was the highest part. Bottom is going to be this one. And so that's just one thing to take note of, I guess, because, well, that's what I'm going to mention. So this is exactly the same pattern as you saw earlier, but you can actually divide a single one lines, which you saw earlier, into multiple lines, like correction line. And I'll get into it later, but there's a rule of alternation, which basically states that after every single simple, sort of, because this one is a simple thing, it's only 3, there should be a complex, which is going to be 5 waves, sort of. So yeah, you can actually divide. It's not really a time frame, sort of combined to the Elliott wave usage, but I think he mentioned up till 200 years, which is the biggest one, and the shortest waves can form in a couple of hours. So, well, that's pretty good use. You can use them in futures markets or in long markets. So basically any market you really want. Now this one is also quite important, which is going to be about the zigzags. So basically what you'll see here is a zigzag. Why is it a zigzag? I'm not sure why it's called zigzag, but the important thing to note here is basically you see this is called a 535, which means this consists of 5 waves, as we can see in this one, and this the correction pattern, like the up wave, is a 3 wave, and then we have the third wave is going to be 5 waves again. So they might want to call this 535, and which is could be handy when they're, for example, comparing extensions and stuff, so that you know what they're talking about when they mention the 335, like the last one is waves going to be extended, or like a 33335, like something like that, right? It's important to know. This one also one of the key factors, which is one of the important things he mentioned. So basically, let's say we have this Elliott wave right here. This fourth here is going to be extremely important. So this just basically acts like a support line for anything that happens, which is, yeah, you know, keep that in mind. This is the same thing, but basically what happens now is it's instead of having facing sideways, it's facing down, it's facing sideways. But it really depends on where this is coming from, because most of the time this is a continuation pattern. So you know, it could go anyway. But the 3 waves are as long as the 5 waves, which is most of the time pretty bullish, right? Because it needs 5 waves to take it down and only 3 to take it up, which is most of the time a good sign. Now there are a lot of patterns as well. You might know this one. This one is the asymmetrical and the symmetrical, and then the expanding or the descending, I guess, or reverse symmetrical. Yeah, the descending, or sorry, here, ascending, descending. Yeah, contracting or expanding. That's what the names are. And the symmetrical ones are going to be continuations, so as you can see the trend continues. What happens here, the bottom stays horizontal, and the top one actually comes down to the horizontal one. And most of the time what happens is, I also stated this in another chapter, but the breakout will occur at 75% of the apex, and the apex is basically when the lines are going to meet. So this one would have met, I think, right around here, and I guess that's like 2/3 or 3/4 of the apex, which is about good. So that's ideal, right? It doesn't have to be, but most of the time that's what's going to happen. Now, I already mentioned this about simple and complex patterns. So basically, this is going to be about the rule of alternation as well. So what you can see is just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-way movement. But you will always, it's unlikely that 2 complex patterns will occur in a single Elliott wave. Of course, when there's multiple, it could happen, but as you can see here, this is the ideal pattern. So it's going to be a simple or a complex and a simple. And in bullish or bearish, doesn't really matter. Now, so actually, this talks about what Fibonacci is and how you can use it. So basically, you probably know Fibonacci levels, but what happens with them is you take the number you right have and you're gonna add it to the number you had previously had. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, and so on, basically. So what happens is basically if I take any Fibonacci here, you should ignore the blue ones, but basically what you can see, the 1 is here right now, and you can see the ratios here. So 1 divided by 1 is 100, of course. 1 divided by 2 is 50. So we already have the 50 channel line. And now we have the 2 divided by 3. It's going to be 67. So you see this one is 67. And I added the blue lines myself. It doesn't come standard. Just because they are, most of them, using different things, which I'll get on in a minute. But basically, it's important to know how these Fibonacci numbers work. And I'll show them in sort of these rules when they come here. So basically what happens is yeah, so one interesting thing was, which I'm not sure if it really matters, because of course you're sort of dividing by the same percentage every time, but it doesn't matter really what you do. It's gonna come close to 1.619 or 1.618. It's or 618. It's gonna be close to that one. And I believe the bigger you go, the more narrow it is to 1.618. And I'm not sure, I couldn't find like if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but basically that happens. I'm not sure what to do with it, but yeah, that's fine. The other thing about Fibonacci is basically you can also use it on the time frame, but this one, I don't know, seems ugly to me. You can use it, of course, but I'm just didn't even look into it because I don't really want to use this one. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip over that one. So hey, I just had to run some quick calculations because I wasn't actually sure if I had to calculate and it wasn't there, so this will just be faster. But basically there's a couple of rules he mentions in the book about these, I believe Fibonacci levels, and in the end it's gonna go over some rules as well. But basically the first one is gonna be that one of the 3 impulse waves sometimes extends. Could be the first, could be the second, could be the third. Most of the time it's gonna be the third, and then it's gonna be the second wave or the first wave. But in this example, the third wave is extended a whole lot. But yeah, it's just normally there's like 2 out of 3 are the same length, and then one is going to be a bit longer than the other one. Second rule is a minimum target for the top of wave 3 can be obtained by multiplying the length of wave 1 by 1.618. Alright, so basically what this means is this. Let's say we don't know anything past this right here. So from this on, we don't know anything. We're just gonna assume there's gonna be Elliott wave. So how you can now know the top of wave 5 based off this one is basically take the height of the first wing, which is going to be 19.33. In the example, I just changed it to 19.5, but times that with 1.618. Right, so now we get 31.5. So what we want to do now is actually go to the bottom of wave 2, so basically right here, and add 31 to that. So we're getting right here. And now you can see, if I were to actually change this one to have it at 3 equal heights, it would be around that range, I guess. So 31, which is the ideal, of course. But most of the time, one of these waves extends into a longer range, basically. Right, so that's going to be the first rule. Let's go to the second one. So the top of wave 5 can be approximated by multiplying wave 1 by 3.236 and adding that value to the top or bottom of wave 1 or a maximum. This one actually was kind of interesting, and this one just could really help in setting your partial take profit or like a full take profit, for example. So basically what happens now, we take the first wave again and do it times 3.366 instead of doing it times the 1.618, but as you can see, it's just 2 times that one. So basically what you do, you go from the top of the first wave, first wave, and add 63 to that. And I already added these numbers here, so that's why the yellow lines are there. But this is the maximum range it will probably go. And then when you go from the bottom and add 62 to that, this is where you will end up, or around this range, right? It's somewhat a bit higher. But yeah, that's just, or probably what you'll be looking at when you only know the first wave and you know where the fifth wave is going to be. Now, it might seem like a bit counterintuitive, because why would you... Oh, sorry, that's why. I was looking at the top of wave 3 for this one, so that should change. But yeah, that's the difference here. But let's continue to the other one. So where waves 1 and 3 are about equal and wave 5 is expected to extend, the price objective can be obtained by measuring the distance from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 3, multiplying by 1.168 and adding the result to the bottom of 4. So basically here I took the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 3, which can be 27, I just did 28 in the example, times the 1.618, we got 46.59. So if we now go to the bottom and actually add 46.59, we'll end up at right here. So this one should be a bit higher. So this is when you already know these two, and the likelihood of this one extending is high. So yeah, you can know about the range, but this is just a speculation, right? You don't know if it's really gonna happen. So fifth rule, for corrective waves in a normal 535 zigzag correction, wave C is often about equal the length of wave A. So now we're gonna look at this little fella right here. I'll just delete these ones to give it a bit of clearance. So this is corrective, right? It's downwards, ABC. It's always going to be a corrective, it's ABC. So basically what they're saying is wave C is often about equal length of wave A. Well, of course, sure, just take it, you can't really do any calculation on that one. But another way to measure the possible length of wave C is to multiply 0.618. So what I did here is basically we take the first wave, which is going to be 8. In the example, it's 8.1. Just take about that. And now we end up with 5. That's because you want to go to the bottom of A and actually subtract 5 from that. So this is this is around the ideal. So a bit lower. But yeah, that's the ideal basically. And now in the case of a 335 correction, where the B wave reaches or exceeds the top of wave A, wave C will be about 1.618 the length of A. So let's say this one actually exceeds it. Not sure when this happens, but yeah, we're just gonna calculate this one. So basically, we take the B wave reaches or exceeds the top of wave A, wave C. Okay. So we take length of A, right? So we take the first wave, which is gonna be the 7.44. I'm just gonna fill it in. Let's do 7.5 times 1.618 is gonna be 12.135. This is what I came up with. And now I think we need to subtract it to here. I think from B, right? Which is gonna be around this one. I guess. So yeah, just try that like the theories on the Bitcoin chart. Yeah, of course I have no experience with Elliott really, but this was actually the second attempt that I tried on here. I think this is actually quite valid. So I'm just gonna see like the results now, and I don't know, just share them, I guess. So basically, the minimum of the target for top of wave 3 can be obtained by multiplying the length of wave 1 by 1.618. So basically, my first Elliott wave or Elliott pattern is going to be this green line. And I've indicated the bearish one, or like the correction in orange, because red you couldn't see that clear. So if you take wave 1, which is going to be around 7,000. So we take this one and do it times 1.618, and we add this to the bottom of 2. So we add 11,000 to this one. Oh, come on. This was actually, it's not correct. But I guess it's correct if you take it. Oh, if you take it up here, I guess then it works. Then it works fine. It's 12,000. But I feel, I'm not sure about wave 3 because it's not really a peak anywhere. So maybe this is just one wave and then this is the second wave, but then it gets pretty big. So just put it here. But if you put it here for this rule, 11,000 would work for sure. But I guess this one just feels more natural. But yeah, I'm just trying things out. I don't know. So then this 11,000 is kind of valid, but at the same time, I don't really think it is. So I'm not sure. I'm just trying things out. How you can apply it to like a market. So the top of wave 5 can be approximated by multiplying wave 1 times 3 to 2. So what I did is I took the same 7,000 again, and I multiplied this by 3 to 6. So we end up at 22,000. And we added, from the first wave. So we've 22,000 to this. We got to this line. This yellow line should be a bit higher, but it's fine. And we go from the bottom here, which is going to be here. And that was actually to my, it's correct. It could be coincidence, but the fifth wave does end here, which I think was pretty cool. Right? It's pretty cool. Yeah, no, it could be coincidence, but yeah, it works for now. So let's go to the third one, where waves 1 and 3 are about equal. And this is where I had the same problem again, because I can do it around here, then it's not equal at all. So that's why I put it here, because now these things are equal. And so we take the difference from the bottom of the first wave to the end of the third wave, we get 11,000. If you do it times 1.618, we get 17,000. We need to add this to the bottom of 4. So if we add 17,000 to this number, we end up right here. And you know what's cool? It's a bit higher than the peak, but I guess it's in the range of that. Okay, so it was kind of fair. But now if you were to take this one, you probably end up right around here. So that's could be a coincidence. It's just a peak, because I guess you can take this as a peak as well. And this, I'll just like to take this one, right? And yeah, there was one more actually, which is going to be about the corrective wave. So to know sort of the length of the second wave, you got to take the first wave, which is going to be 11,500-ish, and do it times 0.16, so we get 7,000. Where do you see it? From the bottom of wave A. So now if we take this from the bottom, this wasn't really correct because this one's ends up right here. I guess that's not really the correct wave going down, but yeah, it's there. If you go from B to this one, this is 11,000. So these things are just the same range. This one should have ended here, but it's here, so yeah, just trying things out. And the seventh rule, if there's like a flat 335, this one isn't flat in the first case. This is moving downward, so that doesn't apply. And it's also not a 335 because it's more like a, they're all like right around equal. But yeah, right. So that was it. Just trying things out. So here's actually the final points, like the conclusion of this chapter. So I'm just going to go over them pretty quickly. These don't really require any calculations or anything. They're just the conclusions you can pick up from the book. So basically, you can see the complete ace waves of a bull market cycle, and then followed by 3 down waves. The trend divided into 5 waves in the direction of the next longer trend. Yeah, I guess. Correction would take place 3 waves. Yeah. So here we have the zigzag. It's really about the length of these things, and so what happens within these zigzags? Basically, you would have 3 waves. So, actually, if I'm gonna zoom in a bit. So let's say you have this correction. The 335 would basically mean, and most of the time, like 3 is indicated as like being shorter, but this would be a 335. You have a 3, and this one would be 3 as well. Sorry, a bit ugly. And then this one would be followed like by a 5-way movement again. So that's basically what they mean by 335 or a 535. But most of the time, the 5 is going to be longer than the 3. So it's just that's pretty much how it's indicated right there. Then it's allowed for any Elliott wave that 1 is going to be extended. Now 2 is not good most of the time. Within like an Elliott wave, not a correction wave. So it should be a bullish one or like a bearish one, but not a correction, like a rally thingy, sort of, right? Then we go to the, let's go to the 10th point is kind of important. It's about the retracement levels. So I guess a thumb node, or like how do you call it, like a thumb thing to remember, from 1/3 to 2/3. That's a good range. That's the good range, and just somewhere between there is a good range in case you had like a big rally. For example, if we take this one and we take from the top to the bottom, we should expect the price to reach somewhere in this range, somewhere. It's not really, yeah, you can say it could even be like change it to support as well, but ideally you would want to have it somewhere in there. Now the next one is rule 13. It's pretty important, which means basically in the bullish one you never want to have the 4 to overlap the 1, and they mean it like this. So right now it's lower than the first wave, which is not a good sign. Even though it is a higher low, you still want to have the 4th wave to be like a lower bottom, higher low than the higher high of the first wave. So it's kind of, it looks simple, but explaining is kind of difficult. Then we have, of course, number 15. 16 is actually pretty important because the Elliott wave theory is based off of the Dow theory, which is basically a lot of stocks combined, like the S&P 500, basically. So this is a lot of stocks combined by itself. And here you can actually apply Elliott waves pretty well. I just wanted to apply it on the crypto market. But these markets are highly inflected, impacted, I guess, on like people's minds, right? Because if it's a doom scenario, for example, Corona hit here, just dropped down immediately down to 35%, which is huge. And of course, you can see it got back up. Now it's kind of in a downtrend, probably expecting some down movement here to 3,500. But yeah, this one is impacted like by a whole lot. And you can see a whole lot of great. I'm not sure if Elliott waves apply here because these one move in a pretty basic pattern, in my opinion. But I'll have a look if Elliott waves apply here, maybe. Now that I'm drawing, I can actually see 5 waves, which is pretty funny. But yeah, maybe we'll see some correction, or this is maybe already correction because of the A, B, and C, maybe. But then ideally you would have C here, so maybe something good is coming. I'm not sure. But that is pretty much the things for which are in here. Oh wait, there's one hidden point actually. The principal difference in the commodities exists. Don't really care, and that's pretty much it.